Well, Harry, welcome. It's good to have you with our as part of our Vistage Grounded Toward Growth member interview series. So it's good to see you.
You too. Thanks for having me, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to, jump in by asking you if you can just tell folks a bit about yourself and HBS and how it is you got HBS started.
Sure. Harry Haywood with HBS Solutions. We are a technical services firm that specializes in energy efficiency solutions for commercial facilities. So we come into existing facilities, perform an energy audit, and look for low-cost operational improvements um, with the energy-related equipment. Um, and put together energy calculations for any measures that we identify. And working with local utility programs here in Maryland and several other states, we're able to get pre-approvals for financial incentives towards the cost of our engineering services and then actually implementing the measures that we identify. So we come in, we do the engineering analysis, the energy audit, and then we actually implement the work ourselves. And then at the end of each project, we will verify the energy savings and provide our customers with an update of how much energy and energy cost savings they should expect annually. So I started HBS in 2009 as a part-time venture. My background is in mechanical engineering. I'm a professional engineer. I've worked in HVAC controls, operations and maintenance for federal facilities, and also building commissioning and um, energy auditing contracts. So, as I was growing this business part time, working nights and weekends each year, we would, build the momentum up a little more and get more customers to where 2018, I had enough uh, work in the pipeline to leave my day job and take HBS on full time. So since 2018, we hired our first employee, and now we have about 25 full-time employees, and things have been growing rapidly, and they will continue to in the foreseeable future.
Wow, that's really exciting. So imagine that only 6 years. Yeah, so
I
lots
know.
happened. Yeah, no, that's good. So,
Absolutely.
I think I reached out to you a couple years ago, Harry. You've been a member now for 18 months, 2 years, and
Almost 2 years next month. Yeah.
2 years next month. Great. What led you to say yes? What led you to join Vistage?
Good question. So when you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I had never heard of Vistage. Didn't know what it was. Didn't know who you were, and we had a conversation for well over an
Yeah,
hour, and you explained to me what Vistage was, and immediately I was interested. Starting a company by yourself, working at nights and weekends, you spend a lot of time alone. You don't spend a lot of time with other business owners, and I really thought that would be a great opportunity to meet other business owners and hear about their struggles or any issues they're dealing with, or get some feedback from them. And in general, I just wanted to learn how to be a better CEO. I'm just a grunt engineer that started a company, and no formal business training. So um, it's been great ever since. So it was a good decision.
so as you think back, what are the two or three most important things you've learned about being a CEO?
Well, the one thing we always talk about is working less in the business and more on the business, which
Yeah,
obviously you're not
yeah.
going to grow if the company relies on you to perform the day-to-day work. So, I've learned a lot about that, and stepping back and looking at how how I can do more work on the business, and how I can train and delegate other aspects of the day to day to new employees, and really help improve the process of how the business operates. And another thing that's really important for me is learning about enterprise value. Like, what is the value of a company? Like, what are you working for? Why do you have this company? And what are you
Sure.
going to do with it in 15, 20
Yeah,
years? It's
Yeah.
one thing to leave your full-time job, start a business, and then do all the work every day. It's like you don't have a business, you have a job. So
Sure.
what does it mean to own a business, and what are you going to do with that in the long term? So
Yeah.
that's I'm really, if it wasn't for Vistage, I wouldn't be thinking that way at all.
Yeah. 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 It is not intuitive. It's something that you've got to almost hear about and learn and say, oh, wow, yeah, that's important. And then it makes
Right.
sense. But it just doesn't naturally just show up. You know, Harry, one of the questions people ask is what kind of resources we have. And as you know, I've worked pretty hard to build what we call the Trusted Advisors Group. And
Hmm.
it's a group of professional service people whose client is the small and medium-sized business owner, CEO. And, you know, we're not exclusive to them. We use a lot of other folks, but it's nice having them as part of our team, so to speak. And
Sure.
I know you've used at least three folks, Lori and John and Gary. And talk a little bit about what these resources have been able to provide for you as a really a new CEO, a new business owner.
Sure. I could just speak to all three. One of the first issues I brought to the group when I started was how do I build an internal sales team? Because being the founder of the business and wearing all the hats, I was the salesperson. I was always
Yeah,
business development and always looking for new business. And my background, like I said, is in engineering, not sales. So I seeked out chief outsiders to basically help me build an internal sales team. So putting together, a sales process, a playbook, CRM, finding personnel to fit, the roles that we need within the sales team, and that was really hard to do without help. So it's something I had been trying to do on my own, and Chief Outsiders just came in and really took over that initiative for me, which was great because I didn't really have time to do it, and I didn't necessarily know the right approach to get that done. So that was a huge success. John
so
Keeney.
they're a fractional chief sales officer, fractional chief marketing officer kind of company, and you actually brought a person in, and he was with you for a while to help
Mhm.
build the strategy, build the systems, build the organization, hire the people, and then how long was he with you? And then I know he eventually exited, and now you're off and running.
Yeah, so he was with me for about a year. So it was more of a full time
Yeah,
engagement at first, and then once we had the staff on board and the processes in place, he was more part time, just helping it to keep things moving along. Um, so about a year.
and that's, I think, a great example of really the ideal use of a fractional organization. This is real. It's growing in virtually any functional area, from HR and sales and marketing to finance to you name it. And so be able to bring in expertise for a few days a month, which becomes affordable, expertise that you really could never afford at this stage on a
Right.
full-time basis, and then really build
Exactly.
out capability early in the company's life cycle. So it's there from day one, not trying to undo and redo, 10 years later. So
Exactly.
great example. Yeah.
And not
So you
not they're not acting as consultants either. They're
yeah,
getting in, they're becoming a part of the team. They're doing the work that the
yeah,
future employees would be doing, which
right.
which is very valuable.
Yeah, that's great. And then I think you were going to talk about John.
Oh yeah, so you introduced me to John Keeney with Keeney Financial. That was just another great resource to get more
Yeah,
a better approach to personal financial planning, and you know
right.
figuring out how you leverage your business with your personal wealth, and putting all those plans together. So we've been working with him for about a half a year now, and
Yeah,
that's been very good. Um, and
yeah.
then
And
Lori,
I think, well, just one thing on John. So, and others like John, that it's one thing to have a personal wealth management person, right, managing your finances or your personal wealth, but it's another to have someone who really understands how to extract personal wealth out of your business. So that, what I learned from John early on is when 5, 10, 15 years from now, when you're thinking about or ready to sell your business, your your wealth, your equity is not based upon only the sale of the business, that you've
Right.
spent a period of time really building personal wealth, so that the sale is, that's kind of a cherry on the sundae type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. And you're going to talk about Lori.
Oh yeah. So Lori Barkman was a speaker that I met at one of our meetings, February
Yep.
2023, and Vistage speaker, but also a business coach. And her first presentation that I saw in the meeting was about building enterprise value and thinking about transition planning and what do you want to do after you sell your business or get out of business. So I've been working with her over the last year on really finding what critical tasks do we need to focus on to build enterprise value in the company. So that's working a little bit at a time and definitely seeing results. So that's been very beneficial.
And hats off to you, because so many business owners, wait till a year or two before they're thinking of selling the business, and then they engage with someone who really understands how to build the value of your business in order to sell. And here you are at the early stage, working with that expertise. It's I remember when we sold our last house. About a year prior, we brought the realtor in and said, okay, what are we going to do to sell this house in about a year? Oh my gosh, new roof, new kitchen, new bathrooms, new lighting, and all this other stuff. So we spent all this money. And said to my wife, why didn't we do this 5 years ago so we could have enjoyed it? And
Exactly.
it's very similar to the business. Why
Good
not
analogy.
maximize who you are as a business from the outset? That's
Yes.
great. Well, thank you for that. That's a lot of those questions come up.
Mhm.
So, as you step back and look at your time with Vistage, 2 years now, and you look at the kind of growth that you've seen, what would you say the most important single experience has been? Has there been, or maybe one or two things that have been most important as you've
Most
been on this
important,
journey?
it's hard to pinpoint a single experience. I think it's the continuous improvement over the past 2 years. Every month
Yep.
you're learning something new. Sometimes it's something that you could apply and make sense. And I mean, you can't do everything that we learn in the meetings, but
Great.
um, I'd say a lot of my growth has come just from being participating in the meetings, learning from other business owners, um, and using these resources that have been offered by Vistage and taking advantage of things that make sense that I otherwise wouldn't even know about. So all the
Yeah.
stuff we're talking about now, really, if I wasn't a part of Vistage, I'd just be doing the same thing.
Yep. Excellent. No, and the fun thing is we learn from each other. And so it's like
Absolutely.
we build a ongoing, we all know where each other are and in the group, and helping each other to continue on whatever it is they're
Right.
working on.
And one of the
Yeah.
parts I love about it is the accountability aspect. And I like to be
Yeah.
held accountable, and you make commitments at meetings and you follow up the next
Yeah.
meeting. Um,
Right.
you want to be able to say, yeah, I accomplished this and this. I did what I said I was going to do.
Yep. That's great. Great. So another big question I get all the time, Harry, or actually a comment when I'm talking to prospective members, is I'm so busy. How can I take a day, a month out, plus 90 minutes for the one-to-one you and I do each month? And so time is a big concern, and every one of our people are extremely busy. How have you been able to manage the time commitment to be at the meetings and to be sure we get our one-to-ones in each month?
I plan for it. So, there's
Yeah,
everyone has 24 hours in a day. Um, if you plan accordingly, you can make it happen. So I personally wake up very early in the morning. So, when we have our
yeah,
monthly meeting on Wednesday, I already know all these tasks that maybe due Wednesday or I need to get done by Wednesday. I get them done before that, or I plan to catch up the following day. It's just part of my schedule. So I made the commitment to be part of the group, um, and it, and just make it work. That's really it. So it's 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 always easy to say you don't have time to do something, but if you want to do it, you find time, you make time, and you plan for it.
right, right. And I think a lot of our, you mentioned it earlier. How do I spend less time in the business so I can spend more time on the business? That's kind of our, if we had a mantra, that's
Hmm.
probably it. And a big part of that is to free up time to do things like Vistage, to have the more strategic conversations, to be learning from other people, what is the best way to be running a business, or when you're faced with an investment issue or a line of credit issue or a key employee problem, how do I approach that, and to be proactive in learning what it means to be a good leader is really what we're after in the Vistage program, and that takes space, that takes time.
Right,
You're going to
right.
have to deal with. You got to deal with it,
Yeah,
but are you
and
dealing with it in an effective way? Yeah,
it's good to disconnect once a month. Take a
yeah,
day
yeah,
off and really focus
yeah,
on the business or the strategy or the issues,
yeah,
without the day-to-day distractions and the emails and the phone calls, people
yeah,
coming in your office with questions. It's good.
yeah, yeah. That's great. Well, as I was wondering, Harry, could you talk a little bit about what value you have found, and maybe some of the difference between our one-to-one, our
Hmm.
triad or quad meeting, which we do quarterly, and the monthly meeting. So, what
Okay.
would you say some of the value you've received with those one-to-ones and quads
Sure.
vis-a-vis the meeting?
Okay. Well, I'd say that the obvious biggest difference with the one-to-one versus the monthly meeting is, you have time to really dig into the details. You and I are meeting, talking about my company, and we're able to really talk in great detail through issues or opportunities. You provide a very simple template to fill out the
Yeah,
one-to-one primer, which you basically you talk about you know your accomplishments since the last meeting, or you know some of your key employees, what you're working on with them, and opportunities that you're working on, and
yeah,
also tasks that you need to get completed. So we really spend the time to dig in deep on each of those items, and it's very useful. Get out of your own head and have a conversation with someone that wants to help you, and has expertise to provide positive um, feedback or suggestions. So, and then the triad's the same thing. It's just we have three people, and I like the way
yeah,
you split up the triads, where you know all of our businesses within the group are not the same, but some of them are in similar spaces, similar industries. So
yeah,
it's good. It's really good to bounce ideas off each other, and um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, that's fun. That's great. Um, so when you think about our group, think about the Wednesday group,
Mhm.
and really beyond that, we talk about occasionally bringing all of our people together. But as you think about the culture we've tried to create, you know,
Mhm.
what 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 have you experienced it to be, and maybe compare that to what you thought it might be. How would you describe to someone what it's like in being a
Mhm.
part of this thing, from a culture perspective?
Yeah, I'd say over the last 2 years, I found it to be a very open-minded culture. Um, everyone's very supportive, and it's clear that
Yeah,
everyone wants to be there. They're happy to be there. Um, people listen to your issues when you're talking. People engage with each other. We always seem to have a good time, listening to the speakers. They're talking about what we learned from the speaker. Everyone gives their takeaways from the meeting, and it's just open communication. It's a good vibe, great group of people. And since I've been here for 2 years, and there's not been a lot of turnover. So
Yeah.
over time, you get to know the members more and more, learn more about each other, and I think that just enhances the group for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it actually, it's quite fun. And,
Hmm.
we occasionally we do a happy hour at the end of each meeting, and that gives us a chance to let our hair down a bit.
Yep.
And so if we're not having fun, we don't want this to be drudgery.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So as you think back, Harry, and again, a lot's happened. Your business has grown dramatically. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the growth you've seen over the last 6 years and what you anticipate going forward, as well as
Hmm.
the impact of Vistage and all the other resources you've been tapping into. What has that meant for you personally? What impact has that had on you personally? So what are you experiencing in terms of your business growth, and what does that mean personally?
Sure. So I started 2 years ago at Vistage. We've more than doubled in size and capability in what we do with these energy efficiency projects. Um, and Vistage has provided me with a way to learn how to get better and things to apply to the business. For me
Yeah,
personally, I've found more enjoyment um, in what I'm doing and the decision to go into business for myself. Um, I'm still uh, have a long way to go, and we have a lot of opportunity to keep this momentum up. Um, so I'd say it's all been good. It's all been positive, and we have our struggles just like any business, and we just keep working through those and come up with solutions to problems and try to continue to improve.
that's great. Yeah. Well, good, good. Um, the um, the other important part of what we've done in the last year, I mean, you've been a part of this, has been to realize that if this is working for our CEOs, might it also work for our direct reports or for other key employees in our organization? And so back in January, we launched our key executive group, which is for the C-suite. It's direct
Mhm.
reports to the CEO. Your head of operations, Mike, is part of our key executive group. What are your thoughts about the key group, and also what expectations do you have from that program? What value do you see from that program for
Mhm.
Mike as well as for HBS and yourself?
Okay. Well, when you approached me about this group, I was a pretty easy sell. I looked at it in two ways. First of all, having Mike in a group like my CEO group, he's going to grow. He's going to learn a lot, um, and we're going to be seeing the same speakers. We're going to be able to
Yeah,
discuss what was talked about during the group, and he's going to get a lot of value and personal growth just by participating. And the other thing is it's going to help us to be more in line with the vision of the company and the strategy and where we're going. It's going to open up more conversations about the future and things we need to work on together. So
yeah,
it it's been a couple months, and I'm already seeing so the positive impact it's going to have, and I expect that to continue.
that's great. Well, it's great having him, and we've only had what, 4 meetings, 4 or 5 meetings with the
Right.
key group, and we're already starting to see that the value of that synergy between the CEO and the C-suite groups. So it's been fun.
Yes, I think the
Um,
more we
so
talk about it, the more we'll get out of it. Um, so,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
nice that you're running
yeah.
both groups too. It helps.
Yeah. And well, that's a great point. It gives me another set of eyes into each of these companies.
Right.
And as I've gotten to know HBS from your perspective now, I'm also hearing it from the perspective and the eyes and ears of another person. And that makes me more valuable. My intent is to be a more valuable resource to you. And I think that really is happening. So
Right.
that's great. One last question for you. So, if we have someone watching this video who is
Hmm.
considering Vistage, what advice would you have for them about joining?
I'd say be open-minded. Come check out a meeting, participate. It's just like anything. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. So if you're engaging,
Yeah,
you can benefit more for yourself, and you can help others as well. So I just say give it a try.
that's great. And
Yeah.
I love what you just said. The other thing I'll hear often is you got to give to get.
Hmm.
And it's really clear the people who are in there, who are all in, listening to their other people's stories and doing all they can to provide advice, counsel, and a lot of questions about what other people are wrestling with. They're the folks who get the most out of the program, and it's a real it's real exciting to see that. It's a really engaged group. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Harry, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you being with us,
No
and
problem. Thanks for having me.
we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Great. Thanks, Rick.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.